Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa Lizards.
I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
And we're your reptile girlies. Welcome to another Tuesday.
Welcome to the podcast.
Favorite day of the week, as always.
Yeah.
So I kind of briefly wanted to talk about my shirt today.
Pink Floyd.
I don't know. I literally don't think I know a single Pink Floyd song. Off the top of my head, could not tell you. 100%.
But you own it.
I own it. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. Because when I put this shirt on, I was literally thought about it. And I was like, the amount of times that I've been in like a bar or somewhere wearing a shirt with any band on it. It doesn't matter what the band is, right? Band, honestly, sports teams.
Yeah.
Like anything along those lines. And I have been approached by men looking to catch me as a poser. And they'll come up to me and they'll be like, name your favorite Pink Floyd album. Like, name what's your favorite Pink Floyd song? And they'll do that. And it always catches them off guard. I'm very proud of this because I always look them dead in the eyes and I'm like, oh, I don't know one. I just like the shirt.
No, I get the same with sports. So like, I'm not a sports fan. I don't have a team I cheer for.
Me
but if
either.
like my local team is like in the Super Bowl or a big something, then like
best believe I'm gonna wear the shirt.
I'm rooting for them. If I go to a game, I'm wearing merch, whatever, and people are like, oh, you're a bandwagon fan. I'm like, absolutely, like no shame. In fact, I'm not even like, I wouldn't even call myself a fan. I just am like here to have a good time.
I'm just here for a good time.
Like,
that's it.
I don't.
But it just always cracks me up when there are people that try to like catch you in that.
No, I would be the opposite. If I was a Pink Floyd fan, I'm like, oh my gosh,
you like Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd too?
And the people who approach people with band shirts on and are doing that in like a positive, excited way are very different. But you can tell there are some people that are coming up to you just trying to make you look dumb. And that's where I'm very proud of my response of, no, I just like the shirt.
It's a cool shirt.
It throws them off and they look at you like, oh, I can't
wish
call
I
you
was
a poser.
A graphic tee.
I love that shirt though. It's a great color on you.
It's a good color.
We both look very good in green, if I do say ourselves.
We should have just made the podcast green.
No, but that's every reptile brand ever.
Which is why we didn't do it.
That's the whole point.
I love the color green.
Green is my top tier favorite color. But also pink, purple, and lime green were my favorite colors growing up too.
It all works out.
You know.
Speaking of green, we're talking money.
Money.
Look at that little segue in there.
That's a perfect segue. Thank you. So talking about money, specifically, how much have we paid? Like for all of our nosy Nellies out there, you're going to find out
how much have we spent to purchase our reptiles.
And you have it down to the cent.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But we've talked about like how we make money and things like that. And so we are not ones to shy away from money. And like, I'm all for transparency. Keep in mind one thing, that some of these dollars and numbers are years old. And
true.
The market of reptiles, just with anything, fluctuates and we'll have like highs and lows. And like, so a lot of my animals that I've purchased were like, honestly, over 4 or 5 years ago. So the prices now are going to be way higher. Yeah. So like some of these numbers, you're like, what?
Well, and also, like you said, the prices fluctuate in animals, but they literally are like a little roller coaster. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low. So, it could be way lower now too.
Yes.
So
I think what would be fun is if we start lowest to highest.
Yeah.
Like cheapest or least we've spent to the most we've spent between the two of us.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. And just want to preface this. She has way more reptiles.
Oh, yeah.
than I do.
I literally have like double.
Yeah, I have 4. So
I have 10, but have had all the way up to, I think, 14 at one point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I'm coming in at the tippy bottom. Tippy bottom? Berry bottom?
Tippy top, tippy bottom. I don't know.
Tippy top, bitty bottom.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
From the bottom at the rightful price of $0.
Free.
So I actually got Venus, my most recent female Amblowy Panther chameleon, for free. So if you guys
get that, honestly.
I know she was free. So if you guys don't know, I have a partnership with Framskins, and so I am an affiliate for them. So if you use code Neptune, you get $25 off one of their chameleons. Yeah. And so they have just been really great to work with over the years, and they actually offered me a free chameleon prior to even like having a discount code with them and stuff like that. But you see this a lot, and we've talked about this in ways we make money of just like brand deals and partnerships of how people will send us products in exchange for our promotion and things like that. Same is true with animals and breeders because their product is animals.
Animals, yeah. It's like when I got offered my free Legionna's gecko at an ARBC.
Correct. For some podcast ads. Yeah. So it's the exact same thing. So she was actually free.
Love that. So mine, this one's weird because I don't technically know this one so Charlie, my leopard gecko, I am pretty certain that back in 2009, when my dad bought him from PetSmart, he was probably anywhere between $40 and $60.
But he was technically free for you.
He was free for me.
So I put him in the free category.
This is true. So we'll go with free because I have no idea what that number is because I was 16.
And you didn't pay for him. So if we're just talking how much we've spent.
He was free. Well, I've spent a hell of a lot on him since then.
No. And to be very clear, this is solely the cost of the animal.
That's a really good disclaimer. Yeah, we're not getting into
we
bukus of
like
money.
Quadruple that in
literally just
everything else.
Their care, their everything.
Yeah.
So we're not covering all that. We'll get into that in another episode. Yes. So my next one, and this one is actually kind of crazy because they are very, very, very hard to find captive bred these days. And I just like lucked into this situation. But Kermit, my tiger salamander, was only $75 plus shipping.
Oh yeah, plus shipping.
Yeah.
That can
that can up it. But
but
it didn't up it by that much. So therefore she was only like $100 because shipping was, I think, $29.99 or something.
Yeah, and you definitely don't see a lot of tiger salamanders out and about.
It's crazy. I actually got a comment on a video of Kermit recently saying, where do you find captive bred breeders? There are none. And the breeder that I actually got her from, I don't think breeds them anymore either.
Yeah, and that's the thing, supply and demand, right? Like some reptiles will be super hot. Like everyone's breeding them, so the prices will be adjusted. But then like if there's not many breeders, and they can charge more. And so like prices of animals will fluctuate with that as well.
Totally. Yeah. So that's my second cheapest. So what have you got next?
Pluto.
Is that okay? So
we got ways to go before we get to Pluto.
Got it. Okay. So mine is Poke, and that is my gargoyle gecko, and she was about $180.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact change, but I'm pretty sure if I remember, it was like $175 or something.
Okay.
So right around in there, and then. Oh, I skipped one. My bad. So I had actually Hazel, my Hog Island boa, was $150.
Which I feel like is not a lot for like what would be considered like a decent sized snake.
Yes. Well, not only because with boas, it's actually not very frequently, it doesn't have to do with the size more so, but it's like the rarity or the locale
for sure.
Whatever, like those kind of things, which is surprising because Hog Island boas are fairly not easy to come by.
Yeah, they're not super frequent.
But I think that's also partially because there's not that high of a demand for them, so therefore they're not super expensive.
See, supply and demand. Yeah, there's lots of factors that go into the price.
Yeah, so she was $150, and then like I said, Poke, my gargoyle gecko, was $180.
Okay.
And then I think...
Am I next?
You're next.
Okay. So what I did, because I only have 3 other reptiles, and because I know their gotcha days, so I know generally... Well, I know the exact date, but I can go into my credit card statements, and I have had the same credit card for years. I mean, I've gotten different numbers, but it's like the same account.
I wish I could do that, but I got married and changed all my accounts and my cards.
So I literally can get you guys the exact to the cent.
I'm so excited.
So Pluto is my Dalmatian crested gecko. He's got like other traits thrown in there. Yeah. He's got multiple colors, whatever. He gets lots of compliments. People are like,
he's beautiful.
Yeah.
He's beautiful. He's like very red, rust kind of color. And it's, I mean,
with little creams in there. Yeah. He's a cutie. So I got him for $191.19.
Oh, 19119.
Yeah.
I love that.
And this is with tax. That's why there's like these oddball. So I think he was about 180 plus plus tax. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
So a little story time with this.
Yeah.
I was dating a guy at the time.
I forgot about him.
And we go to the reptile expo together. I was fully intending on getting a crested gecko.
Yes.
Right? Like I did my research. I knew what I wanted. And he offered to pay for him. He offered to pay for Pluto. And I was already like on the rocks with this relationship. And I was like, no way do I want this guy, which again is totally sweet. And like
very sweet effort. Yeah.
Love that. And he was a totally nice guy. He just wasn't my guy.
Right.
And I kind of knew that like, you know, I don't think this is going to work out, whatever. And so he offered to pay for him.
And you're like,
and like
no.
Deep down, I was like, I cannot have this gecko for the next 20 years and my ex-boyfriend be the one
who paid for
that
him.
Bought him for it.
No.
And granted, he wasn't my ex at the time, but like I kind of knew what was, you know.
You saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah. And I was like, no. I've got this. And like, and I'm totally fine, like paying for my, like it was a very thoughtful gesture.
It was very, very sweet. Great offer.
Yes.
Wrong person.
Wrong person. And so I politely turned him down, paid for Pluto all by myself, but that definitely happened. So
was I there?
I don't think so.
I wasn't there, but there was an expo that I went to with you and him.
Yes.
I remember this.
Yes, but it was not.
It wasn't when
the
you
one
picked
I
up
got
Pluto.
No.
Okay, I see. Okay, so then my next one, so this is getting us out of the 100 range. So my next one, Voldy, was $200, which is
200
actually,
even?
Yeah, which is actually a little expensive for them. I mean, I think it was $199.99, I think.
And Voldy was captive.
So
born?
Voldy is technically my only reptile that was technically wild caught. However, the reason I was okay with purchasing him was because I bought him from a girl who had had him for years.
Yeah, I knew he was established in captivity.
He was a well-established animal. I was not directly paying an importer or anything like that.
Right.
And I talked to the girl and very much like, you know, went through all the steps and all the precautions and asked about everything. So
Yeah, because I know that plays into the price as well, of like if they're captive born or wild caught. And I know legless lizards are not, again, a super like commonly.
Well, they're also just.
Oh, jeez. Sorry. I almost knocked myself out.
I've done that like 4 times, so it's fine. No, but they're also like, I literally know one girl who has a legless lizard who is captive bred, and it is like so rare. Like we have not figured out how to breed them in captivity, really.
So I feel like 200 based off of that piece of it, kind of like the rarity of it, then like.
I would say it was probably a little pricey in hindsight. I would probably say like a better price is usually between like 100 and 150.
Okay.
But I think for me, I was willing to pay the 200 because I would have never bought a wild caught one from an importer. Like, so because this one was well established from a pet only home, wasn't being, you know, attempting to be bred or anything like that, I was okay with paying the extra, like $50 or so.
Okay.
So definitely a little on the pricey side for that species. But so that was Voldy.
This is my next number.
So yeah, you're next.
I'm next? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So next up, we have Neptune the chameleon.
The
OG. So again, I have this to the cents. I paid $281.74
that
for Neptune.
Is absolutely mind-blowing.
He was $275 plus tax. And he was actually a Labor Day sale. So I think full price, he was like $300.
Yeah.
And then with like $25 off or whatever was like $275.
Yeah.
So the Panther chameleons currently are going for like a minimum
astronomical
of like
prices.
$500, $400. Yeah. Some of them, okay, I would say probably average right now is $400. But some people are asking for $800 for a baby Panther chameleon. And I'm like, what? And so I paid, again, $281.74 for Neptune.
Yep. So I'll throw Barney in there, even though he's not currently living, just for reference, because we did buy them within like a couple years of each other, right?
Yeah, they're like a year and 2 years apart.
You guys know Barney, my Panther chameleon, passed away less than a year ago, so he wasn't originally on this list, but I got him on sale as well, which I think is kind of funny.
Because you had the buy early, save big sale.
I bought him from Camouflage Creations, one of the Panther chameleon breeders out there, and they did a sale where it was buy early, save big, and you could get them at a discounted rate. You just didn't get to see a picture of your individual chameleon in advance.
Yeah.
And so I think that he was around like 378 with that deal. I think
Camouflage is charging like $700 for their.
That's so wild
for their chameleons.
Because I remember his full price would have been like $450, and so I got him at like $350 with tax and shipping and all that stuff.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I would say $300 to $400. Like $300 for sure was like
that was the
average.
Range.
$400 was like woo, like but you're going for like. And Neptune was a local reptile shop, right? Yes. So it's not going to be at that premium price. So like $400 was like. Hot diggity dog. That's like a nice, well-bred chameleon. So the fact that they're going for like
double
$600 to $800 is insane. Like
blows my freaking mind.
Yeah,
man. So my next one is a little bit under what I just said for Barney, but still kind of in that same range. So Scooby, my Chahoua gecko, he was about $350.
Oh, Scooby was that much?
You were with me when I got him.
Yes, I was. I just don't remember him being. That pricey.
Well, because he is a Pine Island Chahoua, and that
he's stunning. Just with compared to like New Caledonian geckos as a whole.
Yes,
like
Chahuas are one of my favorites.
That's just more than I thought they were.
Yeah,
we're going for, but $350.
Right on. You were there when I got him. Okay, so my next, I actually have two that are a tie, and this is actually kind of shocking, to be honest. So Taz, who is my scaleless corn snake, and we can get into this in like another episode, but the scaleless gene in corn snakes is like a naturally occurring gene in the wild.
Yes.
I just have to give that disclaimer before people come for my head.
Yes, with their pitchforks.
Yes, but so the scaleless gene is definitely more rare because it is a genetic mutation, but it is something that is naturally occurring in the wild, and adults have been found in the wild. But because of that gene, he was definitely more expensive than, any regular old corn snake or any corn snake morph. So he was right around $400, and he was also from a local reptile shop.
Yep.
And then tied right there with him is Tarzan, my yellow anaconda, was also $400.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's funny because, like, whenever we've discussed you getting the animal, like, prices, like, I don't remember that being, like, a big, like, part of the exchange, the conversation, or, like, a deciding factor. Yeah. It's more all the other important stuff of, like, lifespan, enclosure. Do you want the animal? Have you thought of this?
Care and husbandry and all the stuff. Yeah.
Not, like... Is that
how much is it?
Yeah. I just don't remember that ever being like a big factor in this.
Because you were with me when I picked up Tarzan. You were with me when I got Taz. Taz is the one that was at your birthday dinner with all of your friends, and I had a snake up my shirt because it was cold in there.
I'm pretty sure I've been there for all of these except for Poke and Kermit so far.
And Charlie.
Oh yeah, free. Sorry.
Poke, Kermit, Charlie. Nilla was before you. We'll get to her.
No, I was there for Nilla.
Really?
Yeah.
She was shipped, though.
Because I was there for Buffy. Like...
You were. You're right. Yeah, but you just weren't with me because she was shipped to me, is what I was thinking.
Okay, but I felt heavily involved in the process.
You very much were. That's fair. That's fair.
I get what you're saying, though. You meant literally,
I was thinking like in person.
Yeah. No, I wasn't there for that one.
That's okay. So Taz and Tarzan were $400.
Yep.
And then I also have a two-way tie for Nilla and Nessie, actually.
The ends.
Which is so funny. So Nilla and Nessie were both $450. And just to be clear, Nilla is my northern blue-tongue skink, and Nessie is my African fat-tail gecko.
So I find that interesting because Nessie was not a planned purchase.
No, she was not.
So $450 is like a good chunk of change because she was for an expo pickup, and not in that it was an unprepared purchase, but you did not walk into that day plan on getting it. So to walk into an expo and then put down $450 and then
that was also one of the only times that I have bought an animal with Logan, my now husband, being physically present. So I was making that financial decision with him right there in front of me as well.
But you guys, your finances were not
tied together.
You guys weren't engaged either.
No, we weren't even engaged.
You were just dating.
We were just dating.
Yeah.
We knew that we wanted to marry each other, but we weren't. Yeah. We had those conversations.
Because I feel like the financial input of a significant other as a boyfriend versus a fiance and a husband are like
different.
Your voice gets louder as you're, but like a boyfriend, it's kind of like, Well,
oh, trust me, we can talk about all this at another time, but sharing a bank account with a man was a very difficult thing for me. He knows this. We've had these conversations. That was a tough one. So inviting any man into my financial decisions is terrifying.
Especially when it comes to animals.
But that was actually one of the first instances that he and I did talk. Like, he asked me, I remember him asking me at that expo, like, do you have the money for this animal right now? Like, do you feel confident? Because he was looking at the price tag and he was like, oh, an expensive animal, you know? And so he was asking that. And so I remember telling him, like, yes, I do. Like, you know, all this. And was it the best financial purchase at that time? Probably not.
What an interesting experience to be an outsider, aka someone who's not
in the reptile
hobby
community,
or just for someone to spend $450 on an animal, yet alone a gecko, which for most people would not equate $450 to a gecko. What an interesting thing to witness.
I have no idea what was going on in his brain at that time other than what he was telling me.
Yeah.
But I will say he does have a special place in his heart for Nessie because he was there for that one.
Yeah.
So he does love her. He has a special love for her. But Nilla, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't put this on my list. She was $450, not including shipping.
Plus shipping.
So she was actually $500.
Yeah.
She's definitely my most expensive.
Okay.
So that's my list.
That's your list?
That's on my list.
Well, I have one more.
The grand finale.
A heavy hitter.
I will never forget, too, before you say the number, I was there for this purchase. I was there for this whole thought process. And I will never forget me hearing the number. I was completely taken aback that you were even considering it given this number.
I don't think anyone listening right now is prepared. No. Whatever number you have in your head is not what the number I'm about to say is.
No, it's...
So this was, I will say, a dual animal purchase.
Yes, 2 in 1. So
this was purchasing my Christopher Parsons chameleons, plural, 1 male, 1 female. They were juveniles.
A breeding pair, technically. Could have been,
but it's not like they were proven or anything. So and at the time, I would not put them in the category of a breeding pair. Because to me, that means they have to be proven.
A potential breeding pair.
Yeah. A male and a female. You can put together what happens when you got a boy and a girl of the same species. So they were male and female. And so, drum roll, the total price was $2,163.58.
That is a steep price.
There's some tax in there, but they were $2,000. So
I will never forget looking you dead in the eye at this reptile shop being like, what are we doing here?
They were $2,000. Plus tax, so, almost $2,200. After all that, I will say included in that price was an enclosure in a stand that came with it. It was a 2 foot by 2 foot by 6 foot tall screen enclosure and a drainage table stand that was custom fitted for a reptile enclosure. So you can maybe take off a couple $100 maybe if you want to include the price of the enclosure in the stand and everything. But I mean, at most, maybe that was $500. Right. It was a pretty rickety enclosure and stuff.
It was not brand new. We'll tell you that.
No. It was so they were also purchased from a local reptile shop, same as Neptune, and they were just trying to get rid of this stuff, and that's what they were being kept on. They're like, hey, we'll throw this in there with it, and if I'm spending $2,000 I'm like, thanks.
It's also, I think it's important to note, too, that part of the reason they were so expensive, I think, is probably because first off, they're Christopher's Parsons. Do you want to mention that,
Yeah,
too?
we can talk through that. So there's giant Parsons chameleons, which Parsons chameleons in general are notoriously expensive animals. Yes. You can expect to drop around $1,000 on a Parsons chameleon just in general, right? They're just pricey because they take almost 2 years to incubate. A year and a half minimum, up to 2 years to incubate, versus, say, a gecko incubates in a couple months. Right. A panther chameleon incubates in 9 months. So not only is the incubation time significantly longer, but there are more challenging species to breed just in general for chameleons. So difficulty to breed, not commonly kept. There's not very many of them. All this is factoring into the price and the rarity of the species. Now, Apollo and Luna were Christopher Parsons chameleon, which is a smaller subspecies of Parsons chameleon, which are even more rare and less kept. Now, what was unique about Apollo and Luna, and I say past tense because Apollo has since passed away.
Right.
Luna's still with us, but they were an unrelated pair. So, and they were not related to any other Christopher Parsons in the U.S.
So rare.
Which was huge because there was an opportunity, and that's why I'm so bummed that like I wasn't able to breed them successfully before Apollo passed away. I did try, just with the stars not aligned.
Yeah.
But it had the opportunity to potentially breed them and introduce new blood into the species in captivity in the U.S., which would have been huge for the species.
Deal. The diversification of that would have been
And when
amazing.
we've talked about previously the value of new bloodlines and like things like that, that was a perfect example of this is intentional breeding for the sake of keeping the species healthy in captivity. So that all is factoring into the price point. So
makes perfect sense, but damn, that's a hefty number.
Yeah, I think I just got my work bonus. So
I remember you. I remember you telling me because my jobs, I have never received a work bonus more than like $800. So you were like, I just got my work bonus. I was like, and I was like, what do you mean?
Right.
I just remember being like shell shocked, like, oh.
So I was able to take a chunk of my bonus and purchase Apollo and Luna. But I had that receipt in my wallet. The $2,106.58. That I had that receipt in my wallet for a long time.
When I was moving into this house, I actually could go look at it now, but I found the receipt that I got from Barney. And I actually printed it out because he was my second reptile, but he was technically my like first that really got me into the hobby.
And first that you paid for.
Yes, first that I paid for.
If we're saying Charlie's free, he was your first purchase.
He was. And so because of that, I literally, when I got like the receipt in my email, I printed it out because I did it at work at my job. And I was like, send to print. And I found it and I actually kept it in my special memories box.
No, so that's cute. I
have that.
No, I saved it because I was like, holy bleep, put in whatever words you want. I just spent $2,000 on these chameleons. And I was like, I do not want to forget like how much I spent in just like this monumental thing.
I remember when I dropped that like $300 on Barney, I was not making much money at the time. And I remember being like, this is a lot of money for a lizard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so it is just one of those things. And it was not a decision I took lightly. No. And like,
you thought about it for a few weeks too. Yeah. Like
long time. Yeah.
Because I remember I was there when we like initially spotted them at the reptile shop and we were like talking about it.
They posted about them. Yeah. And so I was like, we got to go see these. I saw them, fell in love with them, did research. I did not know what a Christopher Parsons was. I talked to people who had successfully bred them because I was like, if I'm taking these guys, it's with the intention of breeding them because I don't think it would have been wise for someone to just keep them as pets.
No.
Because of the rarity of the species and like the strong need for new bloodlines. Yeah. Otherwise, the species is just not going to be available in captivity. And I was like, this is a huge responsibility, a huge undertaking. If I'm taking them in, it's with the intention of breeding them. So like I did my homework, I did my due diligence, and then I was like, okay, now do I want to spend $2,000? So anyways, that is how much we have.
That is spent quite a chunk of change. Honestly, like if I were to add all of mine up, I mean, all of mine added up would probably be more than Apollo and Luna together.
Yeah, I think mine's like $2,500-ish.
Mine's probably right around 25 to 3,000 for sure. The month of June for Pangea is all about lighting deals and gecko sales.
Now that's a dynamic duo. We talk on the podcast all the time how important it is to have a UVB source, heat source, and a plant LED light to help your plants thrive. So lucky for you, Pangea will be having sales on all different types of lighting.
And if you're in the market for a new gecko, you are in luck because there will be all kinds of discounts throughout the month on tons of different crested gecko morphs like harlequins, tigers, brindles, and even gargoyle geckos.
So you can head on over to PangeaReptile.com to shop their sales for June.
Moving on to our next Q&A.
Let's do it.
Covered all of our prices. Let us know what the most expensive reptile you've ever bought is.
Yes.
I'm dying to know because I know there are some like $10,000 snakes out there. So
yeah.
All right. So our next Q&A, this one I find very, very interesting. We have done we've done an episode on words in the reptile, vocab, reptile keeping vocab. And this kind of touches on a slightly different topic of what words do we not like in the reptile hobby?
Or stigma, maybe.
Or stigma is a better word.
That comes with certain terminology within the space.
And there are a lot of words, but one that has come under scrutiny recently is calling your reptiles, your reptile collection, and the word collection. So we got a Q&A from somebody who was asking, what word should we use instead of the word reptile collection?
And this question comes from @LittleCheesyBoy.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your question. So what word should we use instead of collection? So I think we first need to just briefly touch on why are we even thinking about a different word than collection. And I think to the word stigma, right? There's a stigma with collection, then you're no longer, and this is just the stereotypes, right? Not necessarily our viewpoints, but then people have a tendency to no longer look at them as individual animals, but more as beings. Like objects that you're like collecting. Your little bobbleheads that you have on your shelf,
your baseball cards,
your Stanley cups in different colors, like those are collections, those are collectibles. So by referring to your quantity of animals as a collection, there can be this stigma that they are objects or things versus living beings. But we like in the reptile hobby, we have a tendency to not just have one. We tend to have multiple and usually a variety. So that's where the word collection stems from.
Which I understand how it came from that. I totally understand. It makes sense. But I do also understand the sentiment that it kind of just qualifies them as objects.
From someone who's not in the hobby, right? Time. An outsider looking in and you're like, oh, my collection. They're like, collection? Why are you collecting animals? So what would you suggest then, if not collection?
I personally, the way I wanted to answer this is what I call them, because I honestly think it is a little bit of a personal decision. I don't know if it's so much like we need to come up with a word to replace collection. But for me, I have 4 different things that I call them.
Okay.
And mine are my reptile family.
Cute.
My mini jungle.
Cute.
My scaly kiddos. I call them that a lot. That's probably the one I use the most. And then just my pets.
Crazy concept.
Wild.
Crazy concept. Yeah, I was realizing I don't refer to them as a collection. I
haven't really either.
It's just not in my vocabulary. I can see it with other keepers who have larger quantities or variety. It's just not something I ever have said. What I always say is just my chameleons.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
And I was like, I always say my chameleons, which in most instances, that's what I'm referencing.
Right.
Is my chameleons, or that's what people are asking me about. And then in other times when they're asking about all the pets I have, I'll be like my chameleons and my gecko.
Right.
And I just throw Pluto like in the
tacked on at the end.
But I don't ever refer to them as a collective grouping or anything, because I could keep similar species. So I just say my chameleons and my gecko. Like that's not, I don't have enough species to like try and.
Versus me, there is nothing. It is a weird bittersweet moment when I go into like a reptile store or somewhere and they ask you like, so what do you keep? I'm like,
how much time do you have?
Yeah. It's like, it's that awkward question where it's like, I'm happy to sit here and talk about this.
Yes.
But this is like a 2-minute exchange. And that is answering that question for you is going to take longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's hard when you have a lot more and when you keep a lot of different species to kind of group them together.
Right, because then you can just be like, snakes, geckos, lizards.
Right, and that's usually what I do when I'm trying to be quick. But yeah, I most of the time, I just say my scaly kiddos.
Yep, I've definitely referred to them as my scaly kiddos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never been a collection or a grouping. I just say the chameleons.
Yeah, it's for me. It's either my family, my pets, or my scaly kiddos.
Yeah,
and I do say my mini jungle all the time, but that's more in reference to like the reptile room.
Right. Right. The whole thing.
But still, either way.
Yeah.
So,
but let us know your thoughts. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a stigma, I think, with the word collection. So what do you guys use to refer to your collective group of
individual living beings that you keep as pets?
Yes. We'll go with that.
Yeah, that's long-winded. But so moving into our blind ranking then. Yes. We got a blind ranking today. It'll be fun.
Yes, I feel like it's been a minute since we've done a blind ranking. But just to recap for anyone who's tuning in, blind ranking is when we will rank things 1 through 5. Yes. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst, without knowing what the 5 things are.
Yes.
So, and I've made a list for you. You've made a list for me. And then we just rank them and hope for the best.
All right. And today's topic is first date activities.
I was so excited when I came up with this.
This is a really good one. I was really excited about this one too. This is a fun one just because I feel like there's so many different things that you could do and I'm opinionated on all of them. So
Yep. Yeah, things you can do for a first date. Do you want to go first?
I am happy to go first.
Okay.
Let's see.
Here goes nothing.
All right. Number 1. Going to a movie.
Okay. 5. I think these are terrible first day ideas.
I agree.
Because you're sitting in silence. You don't get to talk to the person.
You're not even looking at each other.
Or getting to know them.
Yeah.
And you, assuming if this is an internet date, right? Which in this day and age, very likely.
It's a pretty high chance.
It is so uncomfortable to sit next to someone you've literally never met. And then it's like, what type of movie? Is it a scary movie? Yeah. Is it a romantic movie? Is there a weird, kind of rated R scene that you're now both very uncomfortable in because you're both sitting there being like,
Every date I had in high school.
Do they try and make a move during the movie? Because
it's so
movies
cringeworthy.
are inherently romantic, right? But for a first date, absolutely not.
No, never.
I will veto that so fast. Now, a second or third date, I could see totally being a good option.
See,
number 5.
I wouldn't even say for second or third date.
But if you're really adamant on going to a movie, it just has to be after the first date.
And there are some really intense movie buffs, people who love movies. So I get it. But okay, so my next one is going to be mini golf or top golf.
Okay. Now, I think this can be a really good first date because it's an activity.
Yes.
You're doing something. You still have the chance to talk to someone. So I'll put this as number 2.
Okay. That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid. All right. So we have 2 and 5 so far, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my next one that I have, this one is really interesting and it definitely isn't something that everybody can do, but a gaming arcade.
Oh,
because I've been on a couple first dates to a gaming arcade.
I have not been on a first date to a gaming arcade, but I've definitely been on
dates.
Other dates. Yeah. I could totally see that being a good first date.
Because it's an activity. It's cute. You can play some of the games together or even against each other.
Yeah.
So that's one that I like.
Dang, I'm between 1 and 3. Oh. Because I feel like that'd be really cute. But it's not my personal favorite first date. So I'll just do number 3 and we'll hold out for that number 1 spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
I'm nervous now.
So the next one is pretty basic, pretty standard, but dinner at a nice restaurant.
Nope. Not a fan for a first date.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that as number 4.
Too potentially awkward?
Well, it's just a big commitment.
Yeah.
Especially for a first date. Again, totally fine, I think, for a second or third date.
Oh, for sure,
but for a big, you have to order your food, potentially appetizers. That's a big commitment financially, right? The bill.
Knowing you're going to want dessert,
Of course. The bill is going to be hefty. So then there's that level of are we willing to split this or pay whatever, right? And it's just a significant period of time.
It is. That's a big time commitment.
And there's no really activity. You're just kind of sitting there talking.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to kind of distract.
There's a lot of room for dead air in that conversation.
Yeah. So I would put that not
safe. You'll
number 4.
I think you're going to be happy.
Okay.
But my next one is...
the finale. Number 1.
Number 1 is a picnic.
Oh... I know why you put this in here.
Yeah, you do.
So, if you guys didn't know for listening, someone over here, and her now husband, their first date was a picnic.
Our first, 3 dates, because we met during the pandemic.
Yes, yes. So, Topgolf was probably closed.
Topgolf was closed. Bars were closed.
Movies were closed.
We had zero options, and I was not about to invite a man from Hinge into my apartment.
Right.
So.
Or go to his place. So you're like.
No, absolutely not. Especially during a pandemic. Don't get near me.
Yeah. We have public setting somewhere I can scream for help.
It needed to be outdoors, so we were somewhat distanced.
Yeah.
And, couldn't give each other COVID.
No, I think a picnic can be a really great first date. It's still a level of time commitment.
It is.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you have more going around you versus I think at a restaurant. So there's more that you could potentially talk about.
Totally.
But I don't know, talk me through. Was it awkward for you or?
No, but I think the only reason that it wasn't awkward for me was that this man did not even. When we were on the dating app, he was still messaging me on the dating app. This man did not get my phone number for 2 weeks, which is insane, Logan. Crazy. Who does that? Get my phone number as soon as possible, in my words. I that's my preference. Mm-hmm. But so we were chatting on the Hinge app for 2 or 3 weeks. And they were paragraph texts every time. So we had a lot of conversations. It wasn't you meet on Hinge, you go on a date, and it's moving quick. It was
so you guys already had something kind of established.
Yes,
prior.
I was so nervous before this first date that I threw up because I knew that I was going to like him because we had already had such great combos. Yeah. So it was one of those. So sitting down for a picnic with somebody that I had already had a decent chunk of
that's very different than talking for 3 days and then
so
let's meet up. Yeah,
so different. So I think it depends. If it was a 2 or 3 day thing, I wouldn't recommend a picnic. But if it's somebody that you either have met in person a few times or something, or if you've, had a lot of conversations beforehand.
What did he pack for the picnic?
Oh my God, guys, it was so cute. It was so cute. He literally showed up with plastic wine glasses and sangria from his favorite tapas restaurant. So he picked up. So we didn't do a full meal. I think that's an important note.
Yeah.
So he picked up tapas from just to go because obviously they weren't open. So it was just a to go place.
Yeah.
And sangria. So we had a little plate of cheese and fruits and meats and all different stuff. And then I brought homemade cookies.
I remember the cookies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's a good mix because it's something to snack on, gives something to do. You can talk about your cookies, a little, sangria, get the nerves out of the way, whatever. Yeah, no, I think
it was solid, but I think it again just depends on if there's been any communication leading up to it.
Yes.
If I had minimal conversations with him, I would have been so concerned about a picnic.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm with you. No, I think that's cute. I almost put picnic on my list because I knew that was your guys' first one, but I did not. So we'll have a couple repeats from yours, but I have some on here that are not. So I'm not going to change any of them. I'm just going to leave it.
No, yeah, hit me.
Leave it as is.
Hit me with it.
So first choice, bowling.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I would put that. I'm deciding between 2 or 3. Because I feel very similarly to bowling as I do with mini golf or top golf because it's a great activity. You're up and at 'em doing something. You're not sitting there having stagnant conversation.
Yes.
There's not really any food involved unless you're getting drinks or apps or something.
Yes. Which has the potential, right? You could start out bowling, you could do your one game, be like, man, that sucked, peace out. Or you're like, hey, do you want to do a second game?
Right.
Hey, do you want to get, food or something? Right.
Yeah.
It has the potential to
turn into more.
A longer date if you want it to.
I always screw myself over by putting them too high. So I feel like I should do 3.
Right in the middle?
Yeah, let's do 3 because I feel really good about bowling. I might regret not putting it at 2, but.
My only thing with bowling compared to golfing, putt-putt golf versus top golf. Top golf is similar to bowling and that you're taking turns.
Yes.
So there's a lot of time where the person's waiting and you're doing your thing versus putt-putt golf, you're kind of doing it together side by side. True. So you can have more chatting. True. Because when I'm waiting to bowl, I'm not
you're not
talking.
That's a great point. So
same
with
a
putt-putt mini golf course, I think would probably be out of those 3 options, the best case scenario.
Yeah.
But
just because there's that in between time as you're
camaraderie, ability to
switching turns and stuff.
Converse. Yeah. Okay.
So you have a number 3. Number 2, I also had a dinner, a classic first date.
A dinner. I mean, I'm probably going to put that at 4 because I do like a dinner. I'm not totally against a dinner, but
yeah, you've definitely done dinner dates before.
I've totally done dinner dates before. I'm not super against it, but it is just the time commitment. It's like if I hate you by the time we've eaten the appetizer, I have no escape now.
Yeah.
Like that's hard. So,
and we're stuck here. Yeah.
And now I'm trapped.
Right. And then you know the date hasn't gone well. And then it's the tango if you're going to pay or not.
I don't want to pay for a date that sucks. I don't want to do that.
I know. It's just uncomfy all around. Okay. Next up, you've got movies. I threw this in where a classic.
Yeah. That's also going to be 5.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
You're just gonna
That's the worst.
Bump it.
For me, I personally wouldn't even do a movie in the first like 5 dates. That's just me. Because in my opinion, like the first like 5 to 8 dates are so crucial and like the potential of that relationship. I don't want to waste one time hanging out with you in the first like 5 or so times and it just be us just sitting side by side watching something, you know?
You can learn a lot from someone. Are they the type of person? Fuzz in there.
Are they the type?
To talk during a movie though.
I'm such a talker. And
I'm like, I'll say 2 comments like the whole movie. I'm not one to talk. And I'm very, if I'm going to a movie with like a new person with the date, I will intentionally not talk because I think you're just trying to be respectful of like not interrupting the movie.
If I went on a date in the first 5 dates to a movie, I also would not talk, but that is also not real for me.
Correct. Right. And it's not conducive for like getting to know the person and whatever. Yeah. So
that's easily number 5.
Okay. The 4th one. Okay. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Going on a hike or a nature walk.
Oh, wait. I kind of want to put that at number 2. I really like a good hike or a walk.
Okay.
I think a hike or a walk is fun. But wait.
I'm kind of thinking stranger danger.
I was literally going there. Is that what happened? That's what happened in my head.
You got excited and then you're like,
I got excited and then I was like.
But there's crazy people. So.
Like, but that's literally the definition of being in the woods with a man or a bear. So.
But this has been a thing. I know quite a few people who have gone on like nature walks and hikes for a first date.
Dang, I actually am totally changing my mind and putting that probably at 4 just because I feel like it's risky for a first date. I don't know.
Wait, what did you put? You put bowling 3.
Bowling 3, movie dinner, 5.
Dinner was
4. Oh, so I only have 1
and 2.
I hate doing this. I do this every time.
I was like, I don't think you have that spot open. You have 1 and 2.
Oh, then definitely 2. I do love the idea. I think it's great, but I do want to just put the caveat in there for myself that I would not do this with somebody that I had never met in person before.
Right. I know.
Or didn't have like mutual friends with.
Yeah, it's very uncomfy for me. Now, you can be a little thoughtful of like where you do the nature hike and walk because it could be like an area that's
really
like
busy trail.
Frequently, you know, whatever. It's still a little risky versus like hiking in the middle of nowhere. What I was originally thinking, a guy asked me to go on a first date run.
Oh, well.
And I was like,
hate.
Absolutely not.
Sir.
But then I was like, hey, what would be a better like active first date? So that's why I went with the nature walk, whatever. But he literally was like, yeah, like would love to go on a run with you sometime. And I'm like, no.
I got to be so honest. I would rather die than go on a run with a man.
I'm not a runner. I don't know. 2, I'm going to be out of breath. I'm going to be sweaty. I'm going to be gross. I'm going to be not able to hold a conversation. I'm going to embarrass myself. Like, no.
Let me just say, that man is looking for a very specific kind of gal.
And it's not me.
It is not you.
It's not me.
It's certainly not me either.
It's not me. But I would totally do, at some point, once I felt comfortable, like a walk or something. 100%. Or like a hike. Like, I think that is not a strenuous, like, whatever. So.
Or on a first date, if it's somebody that, you know, you are going on a date with for the first time because you have mutual friends or it's something like that, like that would be okay. But on the stranger danger front, like if you're meeting a man on a dating app, please do not go on a hike in the middle of nowhere.
No.
Those are the situations where we choose the bear. So let's not willingly put ourselves in that situation.
Okay, last one. Your number 1 by default is getting coffee drinks.
That's actually for sure my first one.
Yeah, that was my number 1.
That's always my number 1.
That is my go-to first date for so many reasons. Low time commitment, low cost, super casual. You get to chat, you get to know the person. And there's opportunity for it to turn into more if you want it.
I have had so many first dates go really well from drinks or coffee that like turn into lunch or turn into going out for the evening or turn into like, it has the potential for so much if it goes well, but you also have the opportunity to bail very quickly
and just have the one and be gone. Yep.
So that is actually, I'm proud of myself. That is for sure always my number one, no matter what. Coffee and drinks.
That's my favorite. Well, it's kind of boring. It's not very exciting. It doesn't really like.
But if you pick the right spot, though, you can people watch. There's stuff going on. You can.
That doesn't usually happen. It's usually like some lame whatever. Anyway, besides the point, though, I think the first date is just like, do we get along? Yes. Is there potential? Yes. Are you attracted to the person? Can you hold a conversation? Just like
is there chemistry?
Yeah. Right. Then your second date, in my opinion, would be some sort of activity. Right. I agree. Then you can go do something like bowling or Topgolf or 100%. The arcade or whatever.
We're very much on the same brainwave here with all that.
Yeah. One that I've thrown in there, I didn't put on your list, but just doing like an ice cream date. So when a guy will be like, what do you want to do? I'll suggest drinks or dessert. Yes. Because I feel like same thing, low cost, low effort. Totally. You can just do your dessert. And then if you wanted, then you could go to like a bar, go to a thing. Or
this is actually reminding me of the one time that I went on an ice cream date with a man. And it was not a good experience.
I've had like 4 ice cream dates.
This doesn't surprise me at all.
Maybe 5. Hold on. I can think of at least 4. There probably is a 5th in there.
Oh my God. Mine was so awkward. It was so uncomfortable. And then he went in for the kiss and he had like the crustiest lips ever. And it was terrible.
It's a no for me.
I'll never forget that. That was my one and only ice cream date. And I think
I'm so sorry. It left such a bad taste in your mouth. Literally. And figuratively. Because I really do think ice cream dates can be really,
I agree.
Cute. Yes. And like it's on brand for me because I do have a sweet tooth. And so I'm like, if the guy's down to get ice cream, you're not spending a lot. Like
no, a dessert situation is 100%, in my opinion, just as good as coffee or drinks. I just had a really bad experience.
Because I don't like coffee. So whenever they're like, oh, you want to grab coffee? I'm like, yes, as long as they have like tea, you know, like then it gets like kind of weird there. And then drinks, like you have to be like in the mood to want to get a drink, and like sometimes you're like not really feeling it, versus like also a nighttime date versus a daytime date have like different vibes.
This is making me think of a quick question. So I promise we're almost done, guys. But quick question: what day of the week do you prefer to go on first dates?
Like a Friday or Saturday. I'll do it on the...
That blows my mind.
But I don't have anything else to do instead. Because the thing is, people usually don't want to give up their Friday or Saturdays because they want to save it to like hang out with their friends. Right. I don't really do that much these days.
Fair.
If we're being honest, I'm just hanging out with my dog watching Grey's Anatomy. So fair. Like
I'm putting in my perspective, it's when I was single at like 26, which was my like
because then you would have gone like
party stage
and hang out with your friends.
I was like, I'm so sorry. Who are you to think that you get my Friday night or my Saturday night, sir? No.
Because my thing is like Monday through Thursday, I'm like working. I'm tired. I just want to go home and chill. To have to touch up my hair and makeup to then go back out and go through the like effort that comes with a first date. Yes. I'm exhausted. I gotta like put on a happy face.
This is also a significant difference between like your late 20s and your early 20s.
Yes.
In my early to mid 20s, you wouldn't catch me dead giving up my weekend night for a random stranger.
You would pregame on your date, and then you would go out to the bars.
I did that a lot, actually.
With your friends. You're like,
that's fair.
Anyways,
that's fair.
So yeah, I would prefer
a weekend night.
And I would also prefer an evening date over a daytime date.
Oh, me too, for sure.
Or at least for a first date, right? Because to me, trying to figure out like if there's the chemistry and stuff like that, it's really hard for me to gauge that over coffee at like 11 a.m. on a Saturday.
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
Anyways, there you guys have it. Let us know what are some of your preferred first date activities.
Or just for fun, tell us your like worst date stories. Yeah. Those are always fun too.
Let it rip. Let us hear it. But I think that'll wrap up this episode.
That is nice and cohesive. So do all the things. Follow us on social media. Leave us a voice memo. We know that's my favorite to go to. Subscribe on YouTube. If you guys want early access, we do that via either Patreon or Spotify. So check all that out.
It is only $3.99
It really is. Yeah, it's a good deal. And
that's you get $1 an episode.
Yeah, and you get early access for basically you get each episode a week in advance.
Week in advance. Yep. So. Every Tuesday, you get the episode before everyone else does. So thank you to all of our current supporters of Early Access on Patreon and Spotify. You can follow the podcast at The Wild Type Podcast. You can follow me at Neptune the Chameleon.
Listless Lizards.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, y'all.